I've always felt like the New York Harbor is my art studio. It's always been a creative place for me. Being in my boat in the East River, the Newtown Creek, Jamaica Bay, that's always been where I make work and think of new work and collect stuff that becomes artwork. But then 7 months ago, when we started talking about social distancing and, not traveling because of COVID, it really became my studio. It was a place where I could be alone, and I feel safe out there. It feels like New York to me, sort of the press of New York City, but it also feels like another world, another planet sometimes.
Yeah, my camera's in the water. Now we have to go get the camera out of the thing. Okay.
The Tide and Current Taxi is a project where I take people around the harbor using the tide. So usually you tell me where you want to go through an email, and then I study the tidal chart of the harbor and figure out when the best time to go would be, and we plan a trip together. Then we go on the trip, and I make a blog where I sort of tell the story of our trip. Sometimes people ask if I charge money for the Tide and Current Taxi, I guess because, that would be like a real taxi. And I always joke that there is an exchange. You get to go on a trip in the boat, and I get to tell the story of the trip. And sometimes it's a little uneven because with the tide and the boat and the weather, sometimes we don't exactly get to where you wanted to go, but I always get to tell a good story. When the COVID quarantine started, I considered doing the Tide and Current Taxi like a normal summer because I thought, maybe it could work. We're 6 feet apart, we're outside. But there's just so many parts that wouldn't work. Like a lot of times we drive in the car together to get where we're going, and I'm with so many strangers. It just started to seem like non-essential travel. So I spent more time alone in the boat, like in the spring and in the summertime. Then I started doing this thing. I was calling it the quarantine edition of the Tide and Current Taxi, where somebody would go on Instagram live with me while I was out in the boat. And it was cool because people could come out with me that wouldn't have otherwise, come out because they live really far away. Or in one case, my friend Nicola Y came, and she's like somebody who has said that she would never come out in the boat with me because she hates boats. So it's funny. It was a way to have her out there, virtually. But it was also a really interesting experiment because the audience is usually, the audience online is usually watching me, watching the participant, sort of, I guess, from afar. But in this case, it felt like the audience was in the middle of us, kind of inserted into our dialogue. And it was different, of course, because we recorded the dialogue in a different way. It was a way that I'm not usually able to with the regular Tide and Current Taxi. In April, I started doing this really funny version with my friend Melissa Brown. Melissa Brown's a painter, really awesome painter in New York City. But also she's like, I don't know, a fortune teller maybe. She does this performance where she reads the future in objects that she pulls out of people's purses. I don't know. You have to check out her work, but it kind of all goes together. But anyway, we started doing this performance that we called Flotsomancy, where we read the future in the tide, like objects that wash up in the tide. This is one from yesterday, actually. It's an Instagram live recording.
The election is in the immediate future, but beyond that, how should we prepare? So Marie, what you find next will tell us
How to prepare. All right.
how to prepare.
So I'm going to turn the camera around, and I'm going to very carefully look for the next thing that strikes me. I'm going to find it, and it's going to tell us how to prepare for the winter.
What is that?
I don't know. It's like here, wait. It's big. It's really big.
It's being held down by wood. Oh my God. Is that a giant bear?
It's like it has four. It has like 1, 2, and like 4 little legs. It's kind of smiling.
What material is it made out of?
It's like a big pillow.
It's a big pillow.
It's
Okay.
kind of. It's like it's kind of angry. It's like a big angry pillow.
I think it's telling I think it's telling us to fatten up for the winter. And also to like find new ways to kind of communicate and party. It's the corpse of an angry if you're alone, you should definitely find someone to snuggle with.
The crazy thing about the Flotsomancy readings with Melissa, though, is that in 2012 I made a video. It was a video installation that was at Jack Hanley Gallery, but the video was supposed to be about, it was like this science fiction narrative about a group of women who are like living on the coast at the end of the world, and they're almost like this cult of witches who divine the future by reading stuff that's washed up in the tide. And so in all the videos, it's like this group of people, and actually Melissa was one of the people in the video. And we would like, in this one we're making this mandala kind of, and I don't know, it was meant to sort of seem like this apocalyptic vision of the future where we're living in the garbage that civilization made, and yet also just kind of seem like something that me and my friends would do. I guess in the video, the world was supposed to have ended because of war or like a blackout or some sort of major structural collapse. And it's funny looking back from what now seems like the brink of, I don't know, a different kind of collapse. And I never would have guessed how we got here. It's like, and it's also just so much sooner than I would have guessed.